Okay, let's go ahead. And you might have noticed the boo-boo that I've made on my flat. So the one thing is I forgot my magnet here. And so we're going to have to come up with an alternate closure. So we will get back to that. Now, if you didn't do that part yet, you'll put your magnet underneath there. So I'm going to go ahead with this one on this whole back piece with my adhesive, basically on our, what we use to mat our waterfall on. Just hold that. Lift that up so I can get everything firmly in place. And you know, this is what happens. See, I made the video as we're going, and then I showed you the finished product, and then I put this video out, and if you noticed, well, that covered our bird, which that wasn't the intent, but you do see it doesn't, it still looks really great in the finished product. Happens when we're live also, right? I apologize. So if you're used to watching my videos, well, you'll understand. Now, here's what we're going to do. I've done this before, and I show how I play off, I call it playing off a magnet, because these large magnets you can actually get by sometimes with having one set of magnets and then just an extra one and using it to catch on the back side. And I'll show you what I mean, because this is how strong they are. So I'm going to put down, actually we don't have to have these together. I'm going to put my magnet down here. I really do want it. Believe it or not, it's going to catch on the opposite, even caught down there. So it's going to catch through the paper. But here's the difference. If you notice, because it's kind of mirror imaged, you either need to have two that are the same, two pluses, if you want your adhesive down. And that leaves us with two negatives. But you'll have to just pull the tape off, and it's very simple to do. Pull your tape off, and then just reuse score tape. There it is. And now it's closed. Yay, I'm happy. And then we have the waterfall here. Great for all those reception pictures on this page. Now when we turn this over on the back side, we do have our top waterfall, which is kind of the opposite of this. So we now have it where it's going to be cascading down here on the back of page 4. And again, we may only need the other magnet, which is cool. So for this one, I did basically the same thing, except for my base page is 4.5 by, again, I just cut it short of 8. And these are our 4-inch pieces, and I cut them just short of 8. I believe this is about the last of them. I have one left that we're going to use for a belly band. And I cut these down to just 8, and then I did score. I put them on my scoreboard and went ahead and scored the 1/2 inch. And again, to figure out what size of the base I needed, I just folded back my 1/2 inch score lines, laid them on my scoreboard, and it stopped at about, oh, let me move that over. So it stops at about 4.5. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure they're all the same. They are. Turn this. And we'll start with our first one. Again, I want to check side to side. Now, if for some reason, do you see how that's just a hair over, and that tends to drive me crazy, I just trim it. Now, when I do that, see, I'm cutting at an angle. So I'm not touching this up here. I just want to cut it at an angle so that I can get that little bit that's hanging over. And now our second one. Now I might be a little too close to the camera. I'm sorry. We're just trying to get this new setup that's now over my work area. It's quite an awesome setup my son made. But it's now going to have to go through the adjustment period of figuring out where it works best. So now we have that 1/2 inch. In between. We'll map those. Again, I just want to check because it looks like I did. It's in my cutting, which is no problem. So just cut it at an angle so you don't really cut into the page. So if you sew, you kind of know what I mean when you taper it in. So when you sew, you have to taper in your seams a lot. Or I do. Okay, now we can go ahead and get everything burnished down. Glue from my fingers. Now this is going to sit at the top. And I should be able, we're going to try it, to use that one magnet that's underneath there. Because actually you've got the pull of 3. But, there we go. It's going to work. I'm not going to put it down until we get this all set. So once again, you'll want to pick out what you're going to mat your page with. And on this one, see, I will have the heart. It will show in the bottom. So go ahead and cut this piece. And I'm still using the truffle. It matches really well. I'm just going to put that down. See how that still shows at the bottom? And we'll go ahead and just attach. going to turn this upside down. And then, whoops, we're going to have to burnish those back down. And there we go, it caught. So now we can take the back off because you really do, like I said, have 3 magnets going through there. But instead of using 4, we only had to use 3, even with that little boo-boo. Just glue. So it worked out well. So you have lots and lots of places for pictures. And there's page 4 and on to page 5.